Okay, in this video, I'd like to demonstrate how to uh, finish off an individual tooth segmentation, um, but mainly how to mirror a tooth um, to place it in the position of a missing tooth in the same patient's mouth. So basically using an existing tooth in the patient's arch to replace one that has been extracted or for whatever reason. Um, First things first, we've already gone over the ways to segment out a tooth. I'm going to go ahead and click on select, double click on this face group here. Borders look okay. I'm going to try it one more time though to smooth it. Bring this all the way up. Like Baron Grutter said, it's really, I feel like it's really important to have a lot of smooth edges, smooth triangles when you're doing any type of segmenting, boolean, any type of, basically any operations in Meshmixer. It's pretty important that you don't have those jagged edges there. So I'm just going to do that again. Hit accept. Yeah, I mean, it looks fine. And so it's selected, and I'm going to hit Y. That will actually separate it from the model. And again, just to kind of show you, that's what it looks like now. And that's what the arch now looks like. It's got that hole in it, but we're not going to have to worry about that. I'll show you why here. Okay, so the first thing we do right away is once we've separated it out, I'm going to make a copy of it and take that first one, bring it right back into where it was. I'm going to control click on that first model and just combine. I'm not going to Boolean union, I'm just combining. Just basically stitches it back together, but you always want to hit, I believe you always want to hit close cracks after you do a combine, because that will kind of, as far as I know, stitch up any of those little edges there that maybe didn't get quite connected together. So just to kind of prove that, we look at this. I'm going to do an analysis and inspector, and looks good. So that is one model, solid, watertight, looks good. Done. Okay, so we're going back to this one here. We don't need to look at that anymore. This is the tooth we're kind of focusing on here. What's nice is we have the mesial side of this, the mesial aspect of this tooth, already selected, so that's nice. But unfortunately, and this is going to be the case almost all the time, on the interproximal region here, there's going to be the contact area that's missing. And it's kind of problematic if you try to do a fill or something like that. That kind of gives you weird surfaces. So one incredibly powerful tool that I've found in Meshmixer that, again, I haven't really seen too many people use yet, but it is so valuable for any of this type of work, especially for what we're doing in dentistry and this type of these types of operations. I actually found it or learned about it in a different CAD software. It's called bridging, and essentially what you do is you take one selection of triangles and then you select another selection, and just like it says, it will bridge the two if it's possible. It's truly remarkable once you see it work. So let's hit W for wireframe, and it's also a very finicky tool as well. Almost all these are in Meshmixer, but the way to get it to succeed the most often is to try to select edges that don't have like little kind of flare-ups like that right there, and kind of over there a little bit. You just want kind of like flat, straight edges. So I'm going to come in here and kind of get down to the bottom, hit select, get it down pretty small here, and I'm going to hit C to reorient myself, just kind of see where I'm going to be going. Okay, we'll just give it a go here. I'm not sure if this is going to work or not. These look pretty flat to me though. You can select multiple. I don't think you need to match the number when you're doing this. At least I haven't had to. And just grab some of these here. Once they're both selected, I'm going to hit Control B, and there you go. It bridges right through it. And you kind of think, well, okay, that's great, but how many times do I have to do that to fill this? Well, then you can continue the selection, hit, or just kind of dial up this brush size just a little bit. Too much. And and just go around the border here. You want to make sure that this is down to 0 if you were using it before to segment teeth, because when you're kind of looking at it like from this angle and you're clicking here, you might miss some of these edges right here. So we want to make sure that's all the way back down to 0 again. You got to make sure all the internal edges of this hole are selected, and you can go, I think, as far as you want. Beyond, it just kind of adds to the calculation. I'm going to hit F, and that's going to fill that. Accept. And that's basically the shell of that original tooth. So that's exactly what we want. The next step to kind of finalize this tooth segmentation, I'm going to clear this. I'm going to select all. I'm going to do the old model trick, hit D for extrude. I'm going to go offset. I found -10 to be good. I'm going to come down to flat. Constant is good for direction. Hit accept. Okay. So now we basically kind of have like a little tooth die. Essentially, it's a solid, so you can do a lot of things with this, and it should be relatively easy to do some operations from here on. So I'm going to clear selection, and looks good. This is the real meat of this video here, which is actually the most simple thing. With this one thing selected, or it's not selected at all, but with the only thing visible here, the only object selected in the object browser, come over to edit, hit mirror, and this was a little confusing at first because it's a small object and you need to actually get it in, you need to get this plane into where that object is. So I'm going to drag this arrow over this way until I can start to see something, and there it goes, starts to mirror. But unfortunately, this is the wrong way. So I'm going to take this out of wireframe too, hit W. I'm going to rotate this around to 90 degrees because that's what we're looking for here in this case. Okay, come back to the front, more front on view. Take this arrow here, and I'm going to drag it to the left. There we go. You have a nice mirror image of that central incisor. I'm going to hit accept. I am going to, I don't really need this anymore. So I'm going to hit select and just kind of draw like a little guy like that. And in fact, I mean, if you were really kind of a geek, what you would do is every time you make one of these, just kind of come up here and go to convert to solid part. And I'm going to create an object with it and accept before I delete it. Then I'll just start creating my own libraries of natural teeth, and I can just kind of pick and choose the ones that I want when I want them. But I don't need this one now, so I'm just going to hide it. Oh, it's both of them. Control Z, go back to that selection. I'm going to separate that out. Why? So now you have the two individual teeth instead of just one big object there. So I'm going to hide this guy here. It's not the one we need. We need this one. I'm going to show the other model again. And so there it is, kind of not in place yet, but if it's the central incisor, usually it should just be a really simple hit. I need to make sure I'm on the right part here. On this guy, hit T, transform, drag it over into its spot. That's that. Come in and just check it out. As you can see, it's a identical replica, including this little artifact there, but just kind of just proving that it's the mirror there. And yeah, it looks pretty good. The only thing here is this little edge, but that's not a big deal. It's easy to smooth off. I'm gonna hit accept, just kind of get this into place here. And let's see, well, sculpting is a different, it's a whole different video. So needless to say, you can get in here and just smooth that out. It takes 2 seconds, and then that will be that. Once that's looking pretty good, you can go ahead, or you can do the smooth afterwards. But right now, you just have the two individual objects again. You got the tooth, and then you got the model. I'm going to come over here and have one selected, and then Control, click the other. I'm going to hit Combine. I'm going to hit Close Cracks. Now, I think this only worked mainly because both of the two inputs for that operation were watertight solid models. There was no open boundaries or anything like that. I'm not too familiar with the ins and outs of the combine, but it definitely works here. And the Boolean union is a bit frustrating, as a lot of people know. So if it works to do the combine, then I'll take it. And that's exactly what we got here. Now it's its own model. You can kind of see it's that little peg sticking out, kind of just like the original tooth was, or the original library tooth. So there you go. Now we have that mirrored tooth. And let's see here, just to make sure, I will do an inspector on it. Looks good. Done. And now you can export this out, and you should be able to 3D print with no problem. All right, thank you so much.